Joaquín Archibaldo Guzmán Loera, El Chapo, is about to disappear for the second time. And this time, he's dug a tunnel nearly a mile long to do it. Part 1. The Hole. He's lying on a prison bed right now, July 11th, 2015, 8:46 p.m., in Mexico's maximum security Altiplano prison. Cell 20, surveillance cameras watching, steel door locked, guards outside, 6,000 inmates around him, walls 30 feet high, razor wire, motion sensors, a literal fortress built specifically to hold one man. And in 63 minutes, he'll be gone. But here's what makes this story truly remarkable. This isn't his first time, not his second either. By the time Joaquín Archibaldo Guzmán Loera, El Chapo, Shorty, 5'6" of pure audacity, takes his final prison walk that July evening, he's already escaped the impossible once. Twice, if you count 2014. The authorities know his reputation, they've studied his methods, they've built an entire prison system around preventing exactly what's about to happen. They know he's coming. They're watching for it. And he's going to do it anyway. You need to understand something about Chapo Guzmán before we watch him disappear. He's not Houdini. He's better. Houdini picked locks and contorted his body. Chapo builds empires underneath reality itself. While you're walking on solid ground, he's already dug beneath your feet. The Sinaloa Cartel, his creation, his kingdom, doesn't just move drugs, it moves impossibility. They've built submarines, full-size submarines that dive beneath radar to deliver cocaine. They've constructed catapults to launch marijuana over border walls. They've dug tunnels under international borders that would make engineers weep, complete with lighting, rail systems, and ventilation that rivals subway infrastructure. But all of that is just Tuesday for El Chapo. Tonight is something else. Tonight is legacy. Part 2. The First Disappearance, 2001. To understand the 2015 escape, you have to go back 14 years. Back to January 19, 2001. Back to Puente Grande Maximum Security Prison in Jalisco. Chapo's been inside for 8 years at this point. He's been building for 7. See, when they arrested him in 1993 in Guatemala, the authorities thought they'd won. Forbes magazine would later estimate his net worth at over $1 billion. He'd made their billionaire list multiple times, right there between tech moguls and oil barons. The difference being Chapo's money came from controlling roughly half the cocaine and heroin flowing into the United States throughout the 1990s. They thought caging a billionaire would be straightforward. They thought wrong. Here's what Puente Grande prison officials didn't understand. Chapo wasn't serving time. He was operating from a different office. The man threw parties in prison, actual parties with prostitutes, alcohol, and lobster dinners. He didn't bribe one guard or 2 guards. He bribed everyone. The warden, the staff, the police commander. He paid some as little as $1,000 a month. Others received $5,000. He paid in dollars, not pesos, a crucial detail that shows he understood psychology. Dollars meant prestige, meant connection to the empire. He walked out of his cell whenever he wanted. He made international phone calls to coordinate drug shipments. He received conjugal visits from his mistress and his wife, sometimes on the same day, not alternating days, the same day. And the whole time he was planning. In January 2001, authorities learned Chapo was about to be extradited to the United States. This was his nightmare scenario. Mexican prisons he could manage, Mexican officials he could buy. But American prisons, American prosecutors, different game entirely. On January 19, 2001, Chapo simply walked out. The official story, the one prison officials initially told, was that he'd hidden in a laundry cart. That story is almost certainly bullshit. Investigators later determined that Chapo walked out the front door, escorted by prison staff he'd been paying for years. A supervisor named Damaso Lopez later testified that they'd coordinated everything. The gate opened. Chapo walked through. A car was waiting. He vanished for 13 years. 13 years of freedom while being one of the most wanted men on earth. 13 years of building the Sinaloa Cartel into the most powerful drug trafficking organization in history. 13 years of tunnels under the U.S.-Mexico border. By 2015, authorities had discovered more than 150 of them, some sophisticated enough to include hydraulic doors and elevator systems. When they finally caught him again in February 2014, it was almost anticlimactic. He was hiding in Mazatlan in a relatively modest apartment. He escaped through a drainage tunnel when Marines raided him. Of course he did, it's basically his signature move. But they caught him on the street. Mexico's government breathed a sigh of relief. They'd learned from 2001, this time would be different. This time they sent him to Altiplano. Part 3. Altiplano, the impossible prison. Altiplano Federal Prison, officially the Federal Social Readaptation Center No. 1, sits 55 miles west of Mexico City. When it opened in 1991, it was designed specifically for high-profile criminals. After Chapo's 2001 escape, the government upgraded everything. Underground sensors to detect tunneling, 24-hour camera surveillance, guards everywhere, visitors screened extensively. Chapo's cell, number 20, had cameras covering every angle except the shower area. He got 1 hour of exercise per day in a tiny courtyard. The rest of his time, observed, recorded, documented. The U.S. government had filed extradition paperwork. They wanted him in a Colorado Supermax facility. The extradition was a formality. He was going to rot in American concrete for the rest of his life. But here's what the authorities didn't understand, what they could never quite grasp. Chapo didn't see prison walls. He saw ground to dig through. The tunnel that would free him had already been started. For months, while officials watched him on camera, while they cataloged his visitors and monitored his phone calls, contractors were digging. They started from a house a mile away, property purchased through shell companies, naturally. The house sat in a construction zone, perfect cover. Heavy machinery moving earth? Normal. Noise and trucks? Daily occurrence. But this wasn't normal digging. This was precision engineering. The tunnel stretched 4,921 feet, nearly a mile. It ran 30 feet underground, completely bypassing surface detection. It was 5.5 feet tall, tall enough for Chapo to walk upright, which seems almost like a joke given his height. The floor was smooth, the walls were reinforced. There was a motorcycle on rails, an actual motorcycle mounted on rails like a minecart, with a system to carry dirt out and bring tools in. They installed PVC pipe for ventilation. LED lighting ran the length of the tunnel. They built it to exact specifications aimed at one target: the shower area in Chapo's cell, the one spot where cameras couldn't legally film. The engineering involved makes your brain hurt when you think about it. They were digging toward a target the size of a bathroom from almost a mile away through 30 feet of earth with precise enough accuracy to surface in exactly the right spot. One calculation error, 1 degree off, and they'd miss the cell entirely. They'd surface in the wrong block or under a guard station or into a water pipe. They hit it perfectly. If you're fascinated by true crime and impossible escapes, hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible stories of audacity and survival. Part 4, 8:46 p.m. Chapo is pacing. He does this often. The guards are used to it. 5 steps to the wall, turn, 5 steps back. The cameras catch every movement except when he enters the shower area. He's wearing shoes. This detail matters. An investigator would later note that Chapo habitually went barefoot in his cell. But tonight, at 8:46 p.m., he's wearing shoes. At 8:52 p.m., he walks to the shower area. The cameras show him entering. They don't show what happens inside. Privacy regulations, remember? What happens inside is this. Behind the shower stall, beneath the tiles, there's a hole. It's 20 inches by 20 inches, barely large enough for a man to fit through. The tiles have been cut and then replaced, disguised well enough that casual inspection revealed nothing. Chapo lifts the tiles. He sees the ladder descending into darkness. He sees the tunnel mouth below. And he climbs down into it. By 8:53 p.m., he's gone. The prison doesn't realize it immediately. That's the beautiful part. The cameras show an empty cell when guards finally look, but they assume he's still in the shower area. It's not until 9 p.m., 8 minutes after he's already underground, that anyone gets concerned. A guard checks. The shower is empty. The cell is empty. There's confusion first. Check the cameras. Where did he go? He has to be somewhere. This is a maximum security prison. No one just vanishes. Then someone notices the hole. The alarm goes up at 9:17 p.m., 25 minutes after Chapo entered the tunnel. By this point, he could be anywhere. When they send guards down into the tunnel, they find a masterpiece. The motorcycle on rails, positioned right at the ladder base, ready for Chapo to ride the mile to freedom. The ventilation system running, the lights stretching into the distance. The tunnel is so well constructed that guards can walk through it standing upright. It took an estimated $5 million to build, 13 months of construction, multiple engineering teams, sophisticated equipment, all to free one 5'6" man from the most secure prison in Mexico. And it worked. Part 5. The Manhunt, Round 3. What follows is embarrassing on an international level. Mexico's president, Enrique Peña Nieto, had recently refused U.S. extradition for Chapo, insisting Mexico could handle its own criminals. Now that criminal had literally tunneled out of the country's most secure facility. The United States was furious. Mexico was humiliated. And Chapo was gone. The manhunt involved thousands of federal police, army units, intelligence agencies. The U.S. offered a $5 million reward for information leading to his capture. Mexico added another $3.8 million. Think about that number, $8.8 million to find one man. And he stayed free for 6 months. The legend of El Chapo grew to mythical proportions during those 6 months. Sightings everywhere, some credible, most not. He became almost folkloric, the tunnel king who could disappear into the earth like a magician's trick. But the Sinaloa Cartel, powerful as it was, couldn't hide him forever. In October 2015, he made a crucial mistake. He wanted to tell his story. He reached out to actors and producers about making a film. Sean Penn and Mexican actress Kate Del Castillo traveled to interview him in a jungle hideout. The Mexican government tracked communications. They traced movements. In January 2016, Marines raided a house in Los Mochis, Sinaloa. There was a firefight. 5 cartel members died. 1 Marine was injured. And Chapo escaped again. Through a tunnel, obviously. This one was crude, a sewer access leading to drainage tunnels. He and his lieutenant fled underground, eventually emerging to steal a car. Police caught them hours later in a traffic stop. The game was finally over. Share this incredible story with someone who loves true crime, and let me know in the comments, would you ever attempt an escape like this? What's your theory on how he stayed hidden for so long? Part 6. The American Ending. Mexico extradited him in January 2017. The United States wasn't taking chances this time. They flew him to Manhattan, housed him in the Metropolitan Correctional Center, and put him in solitary confinement in a cell so secure it made Altiplano look like a hostel. His trial in 2018 and 2019 became a spectacle. Former associates testified. They described murders, thousands of them. They described corruption at the highest levels of Mexican government. They described the cartel's operations in intimate detail. The witness testimony revealed something crucial. Chapo didn't escape those prisons through genius alone. He escaped because he'd corrupted entire systems. In the 2001 escape, 71 prison employees were eventually charged with helping him. The 2015 escape involved construction companies, engineers, guards, and officials. He didn't tunnel out of prisons. He tunneled through institutions. On February 12, 2019, a New York jury found him guilty on all 10 counts. In July 2019, he was sentenced to life plus 30 years in ADX Florence, Colorado, the Supermax facility where they keep the worst of the worst. El Chapo, who'd spent his life digging under borders and walls, now sits in a cell carved into a mountain. The cell measures 12 by 7 feet, 23 hours a day inside. 1 hour in a slightly larger concrete rec area. Meals passed through slots. No human contact, no visitors except attorneys. No windows except a thin 4-inch skylight. He'll die there. There's no escape this time. Not because the prison is necessarily more secure than Altiplano, but because there's no one left to bribe. American guards aren't making $200 a month. The infrastructure isn't compromised. The system, as brutal as it is, doesn't have the same cracks. Part 7. The tunnels remain. Here's what haunts me about the Chapo story. The tunnels are still there. The 2015 tunnel from Altiplano is still there, though obviously sealed now. But under the U.S.-Mexico border, the Sinaloa Cartel's tunnels continue to function. They find new ones every year, some crude, some sophisticated. In 2020, authorities discovered a tunnel in San Diego that was 4 feet tall and ran 4,309 feet. It had a rail system, forced air ventilation, high-voltage electrical cables, and an elevator at the tunnel entrance. In 2022, another tunnel, and another in 2023. The Sinaloa Cartel didn't die when Chapo got arrested. It didn't even slow down significantly. His sons took over operations. The drugs kept flowing. The money kept moving. The organization that Chapo built was larger than any one man, even a man who escaped the impossible twice. The tunnels are Chapo's real legacy, not the escapes themselves, but what they represent. The idea that there's always a way under, always a route around, always a method to undermine whatever security measures someone establishes. You build a wall, he digs beneath it. You build a better wall, he digs deeper. You build an impossible prison specifically designed to hold him, he spends a year digging a mile-long tunnel with motorcycle rails and LED lighting. The last laugh belongs to the American justice system, I suppose. They put him so deep in a mountain that digging out would take decades. They isolated him so completely that organizing an escape is theoretically impossible. But I think about that sometimes. About Chapo in his 12 by 7 cell, 23 hours a day, staring at concrete walls. I wonder if he's planning. If somewhere in that criminal mind he's calculating distances, thinking about geology, considering possibilities. Probably not. Probably he's just an old man dying slowly in a concrete box. But then I remember, in 2001, they thought they had him too, and in 2015, and in early 2016. The Tunnel King spent his life proving that nothing is impossible, that every barrier has a weakness, that every fortress has ground beneath it. He's 71 now. Time is the one tunnel he can't dig through, the one escape he can't engineer. And perhaps that's the real ending, not with a dramatic tunnel or a daring breakout, but with the slow, inevitable realization that even El Chapo can't escape everything. The hole is always there, just beneath your feet. That was his genius and his curse. He saw the ground as possibility, while everyone else saw only surface. And for decades, that vision made him impossible to hold, until finally they buried him so deep he couldn't dig out. The Tunnel King, entombed, not in earth, but in American concrete and American time. One wonders if he appreciates the irony. This is one of history's most incredible criminal sagas. If you loved this deep dive into the life and legend of El Chapo, please like and subscribe for more untold stories of audacity and survival. Want to explore more true crime stories? Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. What story should we investigate next? Leave your suggestions in the comments below.